Question number 9, David Bennett.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Transport. What recent valuations has he seen of KiwiRail?
The Hon Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I've seen a report from PricewaterhouseCoopers valuing KiwiRail's total operations at $388 million. I've seen another report which Treasury has updated that previous report to $369 million. These figures compare unfavourably to what the government spent on KiwiRail to date, which includes $690 million on purchasing the company's operations, $210 million on loans, and $90 million through operational subsidies. It is quite obvious to anybody looking at this transaction that the previous government significantly overpaid for KiwiRail, and paying that much handicaps its future.
David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister of Transport. What shape was KiwiRail in when purchased?
The Hon Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, the rail company as a whole has a significant backlog of needed expenditure to pull it back into shape. Work done last year by the previous government's Rail Development Group estimated it would take approximately $1 billion worth of further expenditure to make the company work properly. This is obviously a very large financial burden that the public was not told about before the KiwiRail purchase was completed.
The Honourable Jim Anderton.
Mr Speaker, would the valuation of KiwiRail be substantially higher if it had not been sold by the last national government for less than the value of the wooden railway sleepers and assets stripped by Fay Richwhite? And if so, can he assure the House that the national government will not again support the privatisation and disastrous management of New Zealand's public transport infrastructure?
The Hon Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm afraid for somebody as new as me to the House, that's, a lot of that was very much ancient history. But could I say his second question is hugely theoretical, because sadly nobody in their right mind would pay the sort of money for KiwiRail that the previous government paid.
David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister of Transport. What financial capacity does KiwiRail have to expand its operations?
The Hon Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, what is apparent is that while KiwiRail has a part to play in New Zealand's transport future, it will need more money to do so. Any investments must be made sensibly and with the backing of its key customers. Those that advocate a wholesale shift from road to rail for freight are caught up in some romantic notion of rail's role, which bears no resemblance to any sort of financial reality. Our focus must be on making sensible and pragmatic transport decisions that reduce costs overall and help the economy grow.
The Honourable Darren Hughes.
Mr Speaker, if the Minister is unhappy with the valuation of KiwiRail and therefore Crown ownership of that operation, does he support the scenario known as Plan B, in which there is no Crown ownership and many provincial rail lines would have to be closed?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, sadly that's not that simple, in that just about every line that KiwiRail has does not make a lot of money at all currently. So to suggest there is a Plan B in that respect is, I think, is about as valid as the valuation that the previous government played on the purchase of KiwiRail before they actually did it.